Back in the summer of 2024, it seemed like Marc-André ter Stegen's career had peaked. He was a fan favorite, the undisputed #1 for Barcelona and finally for Germany after Neuer retired. But 2025 changed absolutely everything. Marc-André barely played all year. First, that terrible knee injury in the fall of 2024 forced Barca to sign Wojciech Szczesny out of retirement. Then came the fights with Hansi Flick, and Barca signed Joan Garcia. To make matters worse, ter Stegen injured his back in June, his 5th serious injury in 5 years. But instead of accepting reality, he got stubborn. He gave the club an unrealistic return date just to stop them from registering a new keeper. He schemed against Szczesny to push him out. There was even that ugly story where he refused to give the captain's speech to the fans after the La Liga victory. All this toxicity turned the fans against him. He went from a captain and a legend to a toxic bench warmer. Even if he stays, his legacy is tainted. Let's offer some sympathy to Marc-André and move on to our ranking of the biggest failures of the last 12 months. This is the top 8 football failures of 2025. At number 8, we have the collapse of 3 major national teams: Nigeria, Sweden, and Italy. Let's start with Africa. Nigeria is supposed to be a powerhouse. They have Osimhen and Lookman, the best African players of 2023 and 2024. Yet, this star-studded team failed to win their group and then lost the playoff final to DR Congo. The World Cup format expanded, yet Nigeria still missed out. It's a systemic crisis. Then there's Sweden. With superstars like Gyökeres and Isak in attack, they should be dominating. Instead, a total embarrassment. They scored only 4 goals in 6 games. They earned a pathetic 2 points in a group with Switzerland, Kosovo, and Slovenia. Last place. Now they have to fight for their lives in a playoff against Ukraine. And finally, Italy. They are at risk of missing their 3rd World Cup in a row. Can you imagine that happening in the 90s? They were humiliated in their group by Norway, including a 3-0 defeat in Oslo that cost Luciano Spalletti his job. But here's the problem. No top Italian coach wanted the job. Conte, Ancelotti, Inzaghi, they all stayed away. So the federation hired Gattuso, a coach with a reputation for shouting and slapping people rather than tactics. Now, under a manager viewed by many as a PE teacher, Italy faces a nervous playoff against Northern Ireland. It's a national disgrace in the making. Number 7, Endrick. Remember him? He almost disappeared from the news in 2025. This year, he played just 830 minutes in total, with only 1 appearance for Brazil. This is the guy Real Madrid paid nearly 72 million euros for, the most expensive U18 transfer ever. But after the winter break, he just stopped appearing on the pitch. The club gave him the number 9 shirt to cheer him up, but he's still depressed. He's acting out, getting a red card without even entering the pitch. His dad is giving interviews quoting the Bible to criticize Xabi Alonso in the press. And recently, a photo went viral of Endrick sitting on the bench crying while watching his team play. Xabi Alonso warned him he'd be a reserve, but Endrick stayed. It was a mistake. Since September 2024, he hasn't scored a single goal in La Liga or the Champions League. Even Ancelotti, who liked him, ignored him in the national team. Now, he's been shipped off on loan to Lyon. We just have to feel sorry for the kid at this point. Number 6, 2 players who quit top-level football way too early. First, Jean Duran. At 21 years old, he had the world at his feet at Aston Villa. He was scoring bangers against Manuel Neuer. But in the winter of 2025, he suddenly chose the money and moved to Al Nassr. It was a disaster. He didn't fit in, got loaned to Fenerbahce, and even there, the coach hinted he doesn't need him. A complete career dead end at 22. Then there's Theo Hernandez, a Milan legend, a World Cup finalist. He became the highest scoring defender in Milan's history, but his ego got the best of him. Last season, he stopped listening to coaches and felt he was bigger than the club. The result? No top European club made him a decent offer this summer. So, at 28, he left for Saudi Arabia. His nasty character ruined what could have been a legendary career in Europe. Number 5 is a scandal from Argentina. Ángel Di María returned to his boyhood club Rosario Central after 18 years. It was supposed to be a beautiful story, but the officials ruined it. In Argentina, the champion is usually decided by playoffs. But suddenly, a special commission changed the rules after the regular season ended. They declared Rosario Central champions just because they topped the table, canceling the meaning of the playoffs. It was blatant manipulation. Di María won his first domestic league title, but it felt fake. Everyone knew it was unfair. When Rosario took the field for the playoffs, the players of Estudiantes literally turned their backs on them. The FA was furious and banned the Estudiantes president, Juan Sebastián Verón, for 6 months. But the whole country celebrated when Estudiantes knocked the fake champions out in the first round. A huge blow to Di María's reputation through no fault of his own. Number 4. Alexander Isak and Ademola Lookman. Two players who went to war with their clubs. Lookman tried to force a move to Inter. He skipped training and went on an unauthorized vacation. The move collapsed. He stayed at Atalanta, but the fans now hate him, holding up banners calling him ungrateful. He's lost all motivation. Alexander Isak actually got his move to Liverpool, but at what cost? He refused to train in the summer to force the transfer. He arrived at Liverpool totally out of shape. A photo of his unfit physique went viral. Arne Slot had to play him because of the price tag, but it was a disaster. He eventually got a serious injury, a wasted season born from unprofessionalism. Before we enter the top 3 biggest failures, quick request. If you are enjoying this video, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. Done? Okay, let's get to the podium. Opening the top 3 is the absolute chaos at Juventus. 3 coaches in 1 calendar year, and all with completely opposite philosophies. First, they fired Thiago Motta in March, a theorist who needs time to build a system. Then they hired Igor Tudor, a coach who demands aggressive physical pressing. He didn't fit the squad at all and was sacked by October after 8 games without a win. Now, they've hired Luciano Spalletti as a temporary fix. Spalletti plays complex positional football, yet they only gave him a contract for 6 months. It makes no sense. The players are confused. There is no long-term plan. It's a masterclass in how not to run a top club. At number 2, the managers who destroyed their reputations this year. Ivan Juric was fired 3 times in 1 year. Roma, Southampton, and Atalanta all let him go. Ange Postecoglou flopped at Spurs, then took the Nottingham Forest job, a team built for low block defense, and he tried to make them play a high line. He lasted just over a month. But the biggest failure is Erik ten Hag. He took over Bayer Leverkusen with a huge legacy left by Xabi Alonso. It was a shocking reality check. In just a few months, Ten Hag destroyed everything. The dressing room rejected him, stars demanded transfers, and the team conceded embarrassing goals. Ten Hag needs a comfort zone, like he had at Ajax. At Leverkusen, he couldn't connect with the players. He was fired instantly, and the team immediately started winning again. That is a death sentence for a coach's reputation. I doubt a top club will ever hire him again. And finally, first place, the golden failure of 2025 goes to Ajax. This wasn't just losing. This was a historic collapse. They managed to outdo Dortmund's famous failure. Ajax had a 10-point lead with just 5 games to go. The probability of them winning the title was 90%. Then, the nightmare began. A 4-0 thrashing by Utrecht. A draw at home to Sparta. Even then, they just needed to beat NEC, the 13th team in the league, to win the title, but they lost 3-0. They handed the title to PSV, losing by a single point. The fans were in shock. The coach, Francesco Farioli, was crying uncontrollably on the pitch. Instead of showing mental strength, the team just crumbled. I have never seen a great club fail like this. Not a team like Leicester, but a giant like Ajax. Losing a 10-point lead in the final 5 games is the wildest failure of the year, and maybe the century. That concludes our ranking of the biggest football failures of 2025. It was a year of absolute chaos where giants crumbled and reputations were destroyed. Let me know in the comments if there is anyone else who deserves to be on this list. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.